They say the world was quiet before she came. Not peaceful, just silent, like the breath before a storm. The mountains held their stones in fear, the seas whispered to the wind, and even the gods kept their distance dot, for something was stirring beneath the earth, something older than rage and more sacred than light. It began as a pulse.a heartbeat in the ashes. The earth trembled, unsure whether to cradle or to flee from what it felt. Then came the whisper, soft at first, then rising into a cry. A cry that tore through soil and flame alike dot, and from the fissure of the world she emerged. Her skin glowed like molten gold, her hair blazed in ribbons of fire. She did not remember her name, but the world remembered the sound she made when she first exhaled, a breath that turned air into storm. At first, she screamed from pain, from betrayal, from the silence that had suffocated her creation. The fire that birthed her clung to her limbs, refusing to let go. But she did not beg for mercy. She stood amidst the flames, trembling, and as the fire licked her body, her eyes opened, two burning suns staring into eternity. Above her, the sky split open. The old gods watched, uncertain whether to worship or destroy. One spoke, his voice like thunder over distant ruins. She is not of us. She is what we tried to forget. And yet none dared to move. Because even in her first breath, there was power, the kind that could unmake empires or heal the dying earth. She walked forward, each step leaving molten stone behind. Her heartbeat echoed like drums of war. When she looked upon her reflection in the fiery pools around her, she saw not a woman, but a storm wearing the shape of one. "Who am I?" she whispered. The words trembled, half smoke, half memory. But the fire answered not with words, only with the warmth of recognition. For the fire knew her. It was her cradle, her curse, her crown. And as dawn rose on the horizon, its light paling beside her glow, she understood a truth older than gods. The flame was not her enemy. It was her blood, born of Fury Vertical Bar Part 2.0, the trial of gods. The air trembled as she took her first true step into the world. The ground cracked beneath her bare feet, and the winds howled as if warning the heavens. From beyond the clouds, shadows gathered, the old gods descending, cloaked in thunder and pride. They came not to welcome her, but to judge. The first god, Varith, Lord of Storms, spoke with a voice that split the sky. This creature walks in flame but bears no name. She is born of fury, and fury must be chained. Lightning struck the ground before her, but she did not flinch. The fire that clung to her skin roared in defiance, forming a halo of molten light around her. "I am not your creature," she said, her voice steady. "I am the echo of your silence, the spark you abandoned." The gods murmured among themselves. They remembered long ago, before the first dawn, they had cast a fragment of their own wrath into the abyss, hoping to bury it forever. That fragment had become her. Another god stepped forward, her eyes cold as moonstone. "Then you are our sin," she said softly dot, "and sins must burn." The sky darkened dot. From every direction, divine fire fell a storm, meant to unmake her dot. But when it touched her skin, the flames bent, trembling, and turned into rivers of light swirling around her. Her scream shook the heavens, but it was not pain, it was awakening. In that moment, she saw what she was. The fire's will, given form. The balance between destruction and rebirth. Dot, her eyes blazed brighter than any star dot. She raised her hands, and the storm obeyed. The gods staggered, their thrones cracking beneath the weight of her fury. "Why do you fight me?" she cried dot. "I was not born to destroy you. I was born because of you." Words echoed through the clouds, and even the mountains seemed to kneel. Varith hurled one last bolt of lightning, but she caught it in her hand. The light melted into her skin, and when she opened her palm, a mark burned there, a sigil shaped like a sun devoured by flame. The gods fell silent. None dared speak. They saw in her not rebellion, but truth. That creation itself had chosen her, to restore the balance they had broken. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, not rage, but resolve. I am not your enemy. I am what comes after. And with that, she turned away. The heavens trembled as she walked into the wastelands of the world, born of Fury Vertical Bar Part the Third, the rebirth. For 7 days, she walked through the wastelands of the world. The sky above her was cracked like old glass, and the ground beneath her feet bled with the memory of war. The storm that once raged behind her now lingered like a dying echo, and the gods watched from afar, silent as tombs. Everywhere she passed, fire bloomed and then faded, not in destruction, but in renewal. Charred trees grew again, ashes turned to fertile soil. It was as if the earth itself understood her now. On the 8th night, she came upon a lake, still, dark, and deep as the void that once birthed her. Her reflection wavered in its surface, not the storm she once was, but something gentler, a face shaped by both fire and silence. She knelt. Her hand touched the water, and for the first time, the flame did not resist. It flickered softly around her fingers, like a memory learning to rest. Then a voice rose, not from the sky, but from within her own chest. You are no longer the fire's child, it said. You are its keeper, Dot. She closed her eyes. Images flashed within: the gods, the storm, the burning sky, and beneath it all, the pulse that had awakened her in the beginning. It was still there, steady, calm, alive. When she opened her eyes again, the lake was no longer dark. It shimmered with golden light, and for the first time since her creation, she smiled. The world shifted around her. The storm broke apart, its thunder dissolving into rain. Each drop hissed against her skin, turning to steam, and rising into a soft mist that wrapped the land in peace. She rose and whispered to the wind. The fire was never meant to destroy. It was meant to remember. From that day onward, whenever lightning split the sky or a volcano roared to life, the people said her name, the name the gods had tried to erase. Elara, the flame reborn. And though centuries passed, some still claim to see her silhouette at dawn, a woman of ember and calm, walking where fire meets water, guarding the fragile balance between fury and peace.